right, let's jump right into this explainer. Whether you're a products manager, a dev, a designer, or just completely new to the agile world, we're going to learn how to fundamentally shift away from writing those boring, disconnected feature lists and start delivering real, tangible user value. Today, we are mastering how to write user stories the right way. So here's the absolute truth of it. Most teams write tasks, but great teams, they write user stories. The real difference here is that one just tells you what to build, while the other tells you exactly who you're building it for and why. A user story is basically a conversation starter, and it's going to completely transform your development mindset by shifting your focus away from rigid requirements and onto actual people. Here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the problem with tasks, what a user story actually is, the anatomy of a story, the rules for success, some good versus bad examples, and finally, mistakes you definitely want to avoid. Kicking things off with Section 1, the problem with tasks, and exactly why feature lists fail us. Think about the old way for a second. You write a task like, build a login button. It's purely technical, right? But here's the thing. Stakeholders are fantastic in knowing what their problems are, but they are generally pretty terrible at defining the exact technical solutions. The new way, using user stories, focuses entirely on the user value and the why behind the request. It stops us from building the wrong things just because we blindly followed a rigid checklist. Moving right along to Section 2, what is a user story? Essentially, it's a placeholder for a conversation. To break it down, a user story is just a short, simple description of a feature told entirely from the perspective of the person who actually wants that new capability. Agile pioneer Ron Jeffries said it best. It's not some massive, heavy document. It's simply a placeholder for a future conversation about the work. It's meant to be so incredibly simple that literally anyone on your cross-functional team can read it, understand it, and contribute to it, no matter their technical background. Let's clear up a super common point of confusion right now. How do user stories fit into the broader picture? At the very top, you've got epics. These are the big, massive chunks of functionality, way too big for just one sprint. You break an epic down into user stories, which are bite-sized pieces of value you can realistically finish in a sprint. And then finally, developers break those stories down into tasks, which are the granular technical steps needed to actually get it done. All right, Section 3, Anatomy of a Story. Let's look at the magic formula. Created way back in 2002 by Rachel Davies, this beautiful three-part formula is basically the industry standard. As a blank, I want blank, so that blank. It's so effective because it absolutely forces you to look at your product from the outside in. If your story can answer these three straightforward questions, who is the user, what do they want to do, and why do they want to do it, you're setting your dev team up for a massive win. Anything else is just extra fluff, and honestly, you can leave it out of the main description and save it for the actual conversation. Section 4, the rules of great stories and the frameworks you need for success. First up, we've got the 3 C's. Card is your reminder to keep the written part short, literally small enough to fit on a physical index card. Conversation reminds us that the card doesn't have all the answers. The magic really happens when the team talks it out with stakeholders. And confirmation is all about the tests and criteria that actually prove the story is finished. You also want to make sure your stories are an excellent investment. This is a brilliant little checklist. They need to be independent from other stories, negotiable, so they aren't some rigid legal contract, valuable to the end user, estimable, so your team can actually guess the effort, small enough to fit neatly into one sprint, and testable, so you know without a doubt when it's working. And that brings us to a crucial point for that confirmation stage, setting your acceptance criteria. These are the clear, highly testable conditions that become your team's unshakable definition of done. I'll be real with you. Without acceptance criteria, a user story is literally just a wish. With them, it becomes a deliverable reality. Moving on to Section 5, good versus bad examples. Time for a quick makeover. Look at this bad example for a second. As a registrar, I want to search for a student. Okay, that is totally just a technical requirement wearing a user story disguise. Now look at the good one. As a registrar, I want to quickly connect family and student so I don't search while they wait upset. Do you see how that tells an actual empathetic story about a frustrated person? It gives developers the context they need to build a way better solution. They might even build something that bypasses manual searching entirely. You can totally handle non-functional requirements this way too. A really bad approach is just saying, make the system fast. But the good example seamlessly weaves that performance expectation right into the template. As a registrar, I want to connect them within 2 minutes so that callers don't become abusive. Slapping that 2-minute rule directly into the story gives your developers a clear architectural target from day one. And here's how you break down a massive epic into something you can actually chew on. As a user, I can back up my entire hard drive is just way too big for a single sprint. That's an epic. But shrinking it down to, as a power user, I can specify files to back up based on size, gives us a specific, bite-sized story that a team can estimate and actually knock out in a couple of weeks. Finally, Section 6, Mistakes to Avoid. Let's run through some common pitfalls. Okay, here are the biggest traps teams fall into. Number 1, treating stories like rigid requirements documents instead of conversation starters. Number 2, making them way too technical. You've got to keep the developer jargon completely out of the main statement. Number 3, being so incredibly vague that the team can't even estimate the work. And lastly, forgetting those vital acceptance criteria, which just leaves your developers guessing when the work is actually done. Another huge pitfall I see all the time is confusing a user story with a use case. Guys, these are absolutely not the same thing. Keep your user stories brief and laser-focused on the user's end goal. Use cases, on the other hand, are heavy documentation. They map out detailed functional steps, preconditions, and alternate workflows. User stories are supposed to be lightweight, agile placeholders. Don't mix them up. Well, I really hope this explainer completely shifted your mindset on how to capture true value for your users. So be honest, does your team write tasks or do they write real user stories? Drop a comment below and tell us what your team struggles with the most when you're defining work. And hey, if you found this breakdown helpful, hit that subscribe button for more actionable insights on building amazing products. See you next time.